Everyone opened up their Torah and searched for the passage he had just quoted, as he continued. Luke is an excellent book on discipline and respect for your brothers and sisters. Now, where did we stop with our reading yesterday? Mercy said. We stopped at the beginning of 1 Kings. But it was so interesting that myself and my sisters continued reading while you all were fishing. Wanyanyekova looked at Grace. Do you want to recap what you have already read? The group got into a deep discussion about what they had already read, and hours had passed before Wanyanyekova said, Well, let's continue reading the rest of 1 Kings. They all were so engulfed in the Torah that before they knew it, it was noon. Jonathan and Elisha set up their equipment and started working on different projects for Wanyanyekova. The rest went hunting, and other small chores needed to be done before dusk. Throughout the day, Jonathan and Elisha called each individual to size them up for their ISI langu, and grabbing Wanyanyekova's cane, they carefully redesigned it and other equipment and weapons. They passed out the ISI langu and assegai right before dinner. Everyone was excited to have their new weapons. Wanyanyekova was off meditating when he was called to dinner, and his equipment was at his dining spot. Done so soon? He grabbed his cane. I felt naked without my cane, Wanyanyekova said. He played with it for a moment. It's smoother and comes out much quicker than mine. Striking it against the ground as hard as he could. And much stronger. Picking up the ISI langu. This is wonderful, I must admit. Wanyanyekova left the dinner table before taking a bite and went off to test out some of his techniques with his new toys. Joan, Joy, Daniel, and Jonathan followed as the rest looked on and ate. The ISI langu is designed to form a total defense in mass formation against the throwing spears of the enemy. In our case, those beams of light, Jonathan said. They are highly concentrated beams of light or laser. Jonathan ran off, saying, They should be finished. Wanyanyekova continued. Okay, laser, but the whole intention is to engage the enemy in hand-to-hand combat and kill the enemy. Using the ISI langu and the assegai in combat is a unified action that allows you to hook the opponent's shield with the leading left outer edge of the assegai, pulling it backward, thus allowing the assegai to be smashed upwards into the right chest of the opponent. The effect is instant death. An ancient warrior named Shaka Zulu created this technique. Jonathan returned and handed out everyone a copy of Wanyanyekova's cane. In tears, Wanyanyekova couldn't say a word. He just smiled and hugged Jonathan. Wanyanyekova just took his new cane and practiced with it as the rest joined in, and they practiced for a bit before returning to the dinner table, where they talked about the style and other techniques until they went to bed for the night. The next morning, without warning, Wanyanyekova grabbed a wooden stick and shouted, Impi! Without prejudice, he went by each of them, striking them with the wooden stick. Joan and Jonathan could block his attack, but the rest were not so lucky. He shouted, You must be ready at any given moment. They then ran miles around the lake and back. Non-stop they went through the obstacle course. The group was tired and weary, but Wanyanyekova didn't let up. Push yourself! He shouted. Seeing the weary looks on their faces and thinking they wanted to give up, he gathered the group together. I don't know why Sabaoth has called us together, but you have seen with your eyes and heard with your ears his power. Remember young David running from Saul. Can you imagine his pain? He had opportunities to stop running and hiding by killing Saul, but he didn't because Saul was God's servant. He knew that his jealousy consumed him. He knew Sabaoth would make a way. But we are not running from anyone but toward them, whoever it is, to do Sabaoth's bidding. It has only been 3 days, and you were chosen like David was to do his will. That alone should be an honor. Out of all the people on this planet, he chose us. We must be prepared to go to war by learning from one another. What I don't know, you should teach me. Now rest for the rest of today, but be prepared to go back at it in the morning. They talked among themselves and helped each other with whatever problems each other were having, and it made Wanyanyekova proud to see them working together. The next day, they pushed each other. They all went to the firing range where Wanyanyekova learned their weaponry, and he taught them many assegai techniques and how to make and throw different stars. They were on one accord. What was 9 individuals were now becoming one fierce force. Wanyanyekova learned about the new technology, and he, too, had a difficult time understanding it. Days passed, and those days turned into weeks, and they were able to fast for 3 days straight by the 5th week. By the 6th week, all of their frustrations and doubts turned into determination with the help of fasting and meditating, and the intense and rigorous training became somewhat more manageable.